Captain Elias Thorne stood at the edge of the landing platform, staring into the thick white mist that covered the moon of Cerelia. His boots pressed against ancient silver stone, smooth and cold beneath him. There was no wind, no sound, no signs of life, only silence. The ship behind him powered down, its engines humming low before going completely still. He was alone. Cerelia was not just any moon. It was the heart of the ancient alien race known as the Virelans, a people no human had ever seen in person. They lived in floating palaces, hidden by powerful psychic energy. They spoke only through dreams and whispers, but something had changed. The Virelans sent a message to Earth. It came not through channels or translators, but through visions. Every diplomat who tried to go mad with fear or awe, all except one, Elias. Why him? No, he wasn't a diplomat. He was a soldier, tired, quiet, and carrying old wounds deep inside. Still, the Virelans had asked for him by name. Elias stepped into the mist. His helmet filtered the air. But even through the suit, he felt a strange pressure, like soft fingers pressing against his thoughts. The mist wasn't just fog. It was alive, watching, testing. Symbols began to glow on the stone floor beneath him, curving lines of light. Shifting with every step he took, he followed the glowing path as it curved around a black crystal tower. Strange shapes floated in. The air, like fish in water, glowing faintly before vanishing. There were no doors, no guards, no noise. And then a whisper. Elias. He turned sharply. Who's there? The mist swirled and parted. A bridge of light formed ahead of him, leading into what looked like a floating palace made of white crystal and silver roots. It was huge, silent, and beautiful. It hovered above the ground like a dream. Elias took a breath and walked forward. Inside the palace, the air felt heavier. The walls pulsed with a soft heartbeat. Flowers grew from the walls, strange glowing. Petals that opened and followed him. A voice whispered again, "You are not what I expected." Elias spun around, but saw no one. Only the sound of flowing water and distant chimes. "I didn't come here to impress anyone," he said. "You asked for me. I'm just trying to understand why." He walked through a wide hall where giant statues stood tall, thin alien figures with eyes like stars. At the end of the hall, a door opened on its own, revealing a large chamber glowing with soft blue light. She stood in the center, the alien queen. She was tall, elegant, and glowing, softly, as if lit from within. Her skin was pale silver with a faint shimmer. Her eyes were large and deep violet, and her hair flowed like silk, floating around her shoulders even without wind. Her dress looked like it was made from woven starlight, delicate, yet majestic. Elias stopped. His voice caught in his throat. He had seen many beings across galaxies, some strange, some terrifying, some beautiful. But this was something else. She didn't just look like royalty. She felt like a legend. She stepped closer, her bare feet making no sound. Her head tilted slightly. "You are not afraid of me," she said, her voice soft, musical, and echoing like a song in the air. "No," Elias said, steady. "Should I be?" She smiled faintly. Others screamed when they saw my thoughts. Oh, some fell to their knees. But you are calm. "I've seen worse," he said simply. Her eyes searched him, not his face, but something deeper. "I am Alicera, Queen of the Virelan Collective," she said. "I see through thoughts and walk through dreams. I feel the fear of your kind, but you carry sorrow, pain, loneliness." Elias looked away. "That's none of your business." But she didn't stop. Her voice softened even more. "Are a man who has lost more than he can hold. You wear your grief like armor, but your heart still beats with hope. That is why I asked for you." Elias frowned. "Why me?" She stepped even closer. Now, only a few feet away. Her hand lifted, but she did not touch him. With a voice like wind in a forest, she asked, "Human, will you be my king?" Elias froze. The question felt like a drop of water falling into still water, echoing inside his mind. "I what?" he asked, his voice low. "You want what?" Alicera smiled gently. "I chose you." "Why?" he asked again. "This has to be a mistake. I'm not a leader. I'm not even special. I'm just a soldier." She turned, walking slowly toward a crystal bench. "Your mind is strong, not because it blocks pain, but because it carries it. You survive war. Loss, you never gave up. That strength, that humanity is rare." Elias didn't speak. He stared at the floor. Alicera continued, "Our kind is fading. We are a people of thought, of connection. But our bond is breaking. Our minds grow quiet. Our songs stop. Our hearts forget how to feel. I have waited for many years, seeking a mind that could link with mine. One strong enough to carry the weight. One with warmth." "And you think I'm that person?" Elias asked. She nodded. Elias shook his head. "I don't even understand what this bond means." "It is not marriage as your kind knows it," she said softly. "It is not a cage. It is a union of thought and spirit, a bridge between our peoples. If we bond, your mind and mine will touch. We will share pain and peace. You will not be alone. Neither will I." Elias looked up, meeting her eyes. For the first time, he saw the sadness in them, a deep, ancient sorrow. "You're lonely," he said quietly. Her voice cracked slightly. "I have ruled for 300 years, watched my people drift apart. I smile, but inside I ache for something I do not have. Someone who sees me, not just the crown." Elias sat down slowly across from her. Silence filled the space between them, not heavy, but gentle. "Honest," he finally asked. "And if I say yes?" "Then we begin the bond. You will stay here, learn, see us from within. And if your heart opens, the link will form. And if I say no," she looked down, "then I will not ask again. You may leave, and I will keep fading." Elias took a breath. His mind raced. He wasn't trained for this. He had only known war, loss, and survival. He never thought he'd be asked to save a dying alien queen with nothing but his thoughts and emotions. But for the first time in years, someone had seen him. Not the rank, not the scars. Him. "I don't know if I can be a king," he said. "You don't need to be," she replied. "You only need to be yourself." Elias looked at her. The glow of her skin, the stillness of the palace, the emptiness in his chest that felt less empty now. He didn't answer. Not yet, but he didn't walk away either. Captain Elias Thorne stood at the balcony of the floating palace, staring out into the silver clouds of Cerelia. Strange flying creatures moved silently through the mist. The sky was calm, but inside him, his thoughts were anything but. The alien queen had asked him to become her king, not for power, it's not for marriage in the human way, but to bond minds, to connect souls, to save her dying people. He didn't know how to answer. The next morning, the queen's voice echoed softly in his room. "Come walk with me." Elias followed her through long glass corridors. The floor sparkled like stars underfoot. He felt like he was walking inside a dream. Alicera led him to a large garden hanging in the air. Strange glowing vines wrapped around silver trees. Some flowers opened as they passed, releasing soft musical notes. The garden didn't feel alive. It felt aware. "You said your people are dying," Elias said quietly. "Why?" Touched one of the trees. Her fingers glowed faintly where they met the bark. "We are a people of the mind," she said. "For thousands of years we shared thoughts like songs. Every virulin could hear the hum of the others. We were one mind, one heart. And now?" He asked. She looked down. Silence. "The hum is fading. Some have gone mad. Others sleep forever. The young are born disconnected. I feel it every day, a falling apart, like stars drifting too far to shine." Elias frowned. "What caused it?" "Don't know," she whispered. "Some say it is age. Others believe something darker waits in the void, but I believe." She looked at him. "We forgot how to feel. We closed our hearts. We became cold. Elias looked around. You seem to feel plenty. She gave a soft smile. I remember what feeling is, but remembering is not living. I want to live. They walked in silence for a while. The garden seemed to hum faintly, no responding to their presence. Later, Alicera took him to a room, filled with floating crystal memory orbs. Each orb glowed with soft light. Elias stepped close to one. A small image appeared inside, two alien children laughing and chasing floating lights. Memories? He asked. Yes, she said. One holds the thoughts of someone long gone. This is how we remember those we lose. She reached for another orb. Inside it, Elias saw a young Aliceris standing tall before a large crowd. Her face was calm, but her eyes full of fear. This was the day I became queen, she said quietly. I was barely 80 years old, still a child by our measure. Elias blinked. You look the same now. We age slowly, but time still weighs on us. In another orb, he saw Alicera sitting alone in a massive hall, her crown in her hands. A single tear rolled down her cheek. I have ruled in silence, she said. With no partner, no one to share the weight. That is our way. Until now. G. Turned to him. I am not asking you to be a ruler. I am asking you to share my burden, not with commands or power, with your heart. Elias looked into her eyes. I don't know if I have anything left in my heart. Alicera stepped closer. You do. I have seen it. The way you mourn those you lost, the way you still hope. That is feeling, is life. That night, Elias lay in his room, staring at the ceiling. His thoughts wandered back to Earth, to his old team, the ones who never made it back. Faces he still remembered. Voices he would never hear again. He had buried so many. He thought of how he never truly cried. He just kept walking forward, day after day, mission after mission. And now, a strange alien queen wanted him to bond with her, not for war, not for politics, but to feel again. The next day he agreed to try. I'll stay, he told her, for now. Alicera smiled gently. Then we begin. What followed was not training in the human sense. No weapons, no drills. Instead, she took him into the whispered chambers around room, where the walls shimmered like water. They sat facing each other. She held out her hands, placed his hands in hers. Close your eyes, she said. He did. At first there was only darkness. Then a spark. He saw flashes her childhood, her fears, her loneliness. He felt them. Not as memories, but as emotions inside his own chest. Then he saw himself through her eyes. She saw his battle, his bloodied hands, his screams, his silence, his pain, but also his kindness, the way he helped the wounded, the way he kept others alive even when he wanted to give up. She saw everything. Elias pulled back, gasping. That was too much. Alicera nodded. The bond is not easy, but each time it becomes clearer. They practiced again and again. Every time they felt more of each other. Sometimes Elias cried after the sessions. Quietly, alone. He hadn't cried in years. Alicera never said anything. She only sat with him, silent and still. Sometimes she cried too. Days passed, maybe weeks. Time felt different on Cyril. Elias woke and felt something strange. The mist outside was darker. He stepped onto the balcony and felt the air vibrate with tension. Then Alicera appeared. Her face pale and worried. There is a presence, she whispered. Something ancient. Something cold. What is it? Elias asked. She closed her eyes. A shadow. It touched our web. It poisons the silence. That night, during the bond session, Elias felt it too. A darkness inside her mind, a whisper. But not hers. It was deeper, crueler. You are not welcome, it said to him. Elias jerked out of the bond. Something's inside you. Alicera clutched her head. It's the Trinox. They're feeding on our weakness. They want to control the virulent link. Take over our minds. Her body shook. Her glow flickered like a dying star. Elias rushed forward, catching her as she fell. She was burning up energy, surging through her skin. The healers arrived, but they couldn't stop the damage. The parasite was in her mind, in the core of her being. The bond, one elder said, it is the only way to fight from inside. But it is too soon, too dangerous. I'll do it, Elias said. You're not ready, the elder warned. You might be lost. She'll die if I don't, Elias said. And I didn't come this far to lose her now. Inside the whisper chamber, he sat with her again. Her body trembled. Her breathing was weak. He took her hands. Let me in, whispered. The bond flared to life, and Elias fell into her mind. Inside was chaos. Memories shattered. Voices screamed. The web was tangled, poisoned. At the center, Alicera stood. Her body glowing faintly, trying to hold the web together. The shadows circled her dark. Cold, hissing, you are not virulent, it said. You do not belong. I'm not here for you, Elias growled. I'm here for her. He ran forward, through fire and fog. He grabbed her hand. She looked at him, tears falling from glowing eyes. You came, she whispered. The shadow lunged. Elias felt pain stab through his mind, but he held on. With every painful memory he pushed back. Every loss he carried became a shield. Every sorrow became fire, he roared. And light burst from him. The shadow screamed and vanished. The web calmed. Alicera fell into his arms. You fought for me? He smiled weakly. You fought first. And then dashed darkness. Elias woke in a glowing bed. A soft hum filled the air. Alicera sat beside him, her hand in his. You saved me, she said. You saved yourself, he replied. Their bond wasn't complete yet, but it had begun. They were no longer strangers. They were something more. Elias Thorne slowly opened his eyes. The soft ceiling above him glowed gently, like early morning light. His body ached not with pain, but like he had run a long distance through a storm. He sat up. The room was silent, filled with faint music. A warm wind blew from vents shaped. Like flower petals, he was alive. The last thing he remembered was holding Queen Alicera's hand in the whisper chamber. They had gone deep into her mind. He had fought the darkness that tried to take her, and then nothing. Now he was here alive. But something felt different. The door slid open with a whisper. Alicera stepped inside. She looked stronger than before. Her glow had returned. Her eyes were brighter. But when she saw Elias awake, a wave of emotion filled her face. Relief, joy, and guilt. You're awake, she said softly. Elias tried to stand, but she gently pushed him back down. You need rest, she said. I'm fine, he said, his voice dry. Just a little dizzy. You almost didn't make it, she said, sitting beside him. You went deeper into the bond than any being has ever dared. I had to, he said. You would have been lost. She nodded. You saved me. You saved us. But something's wrong, isn't it? Elias asked, looking at her closely. Alicera hesitated. There is damage, she admitted. The link between us. It's broken, not fully, but unstable. Elias frowned. Can it be fixed? She looked down. It can, but it will not be easy. Later that day they met with the virulent, elders and shank beings who floated in glowing robes. Their minds stronger than their frail bodies. They had felt the shadow. Tuth, a parasite from the Trinox, an alien race that fed on psychic networks. Silent invaders, they crept into weakened minds and took control. The Trinox have been waiting, said Elder Vassal. They sensed our silence, our weakness. They are not many, but they are clever. Can they be stopped? Elias asked. Not by weapons, another elder said. Not by ships or fire. They exist in thought. In memory, they enter through. Fear, and how did I stop it? Elias asked. You didn't fight with power, Alicera said softly. You fought with emotion, with love. with pain. You used your human heart. But the bond was broken, Elias reminded her. Yes, said Elder Vassal, because it was not complete. You were still separate minds, connected only by threads. If you complete the royal convergence, the bond will become permanent and unbreakable. Elias raised an eyebrow. Royal convergence? It is the final ritual, Alicera explained. It has only happened twice in our history. A full merge of thought and spirit. Two minds become one. And you want that? With me? Elias asked. She looked him in the eyes. Yes, if you are willing. Elias looked around at the glowing palace, the ancient beings, the floating towers beyond the windows. He took a deep breath. I'll do it. The preparations began. A special chamber was built high above the palace, where stars shone clearly, through a crystal dome. The royal convergence would take place there. But first, Elias had to open himself fully. That meant no hiding, no secrets, no masks. Alicera met him in the Chamber of Mirrors. It was a place where memories came alive. Mirrors showing pieces of one's past. Are you ready? She asked. Elias nodded. She took his hand and placed it on the central mirror. Light burst out. Suddenly he was surrounded by moments of his life. His first day as a soldier, his team on Earth, laughing around a campfire, his commander saluting him after a successful mission, and then the moment everything changed. A battlefield, a broken spaceship, screams in his ears, explosions, his best friend Devon dying in his arms. Ilias's breathing grew heavy. He wanted to look away, but Alicera held his hand tightly. I need to see it, she said. All of it. Tears filled Ilias's eyes. I couldn't save him, I promised. I failed. You didn't fail, she said. Him, you loved him. Elias wiped his face. I never let myself grieve, he whispered. I just kept going. That grief made you stronger, Alicera said. It kept your heart open. That's why you're here. Now it was her turn. They entered her memories. He saw her childhood, a little glowing girl, running through a garden of singing vines. He saw her first days as queen, the weight of the crown, the fear in her eyes. He saw her watching her people grow colder, quieter, slipping away. He saw her cry in silence, alone in a palace too big for one soul. I wore the crown for centuries, she said, but I always felt small. Elias took her hand. You're not small, he said. You've held your people together longer than anyone could. They stood there, two broken hearts, slowly healing in each other's warmth. The night of the convergence came. The stars were bright. The chamber glowed with soft silver light. The virulent elders floated in silence, watching. Elias stood in the center of the circle. Alicera stepped toward him, wearing a simple white robe, her glow calm and steady. No crown, no throne, just her. She spoke the ritual words. Do you come with fear? Elias replied, yes, but I still come. Do you come with pain? Do you come with hope? He looked at her. Hey. For the first time, yes, they held hands. Light swirled around them. The air grew warm. Symbols floated in the air, dancing like fireflies. Then they closed their eyes. Their minds touched. Elias felt her thoughts like waves. He let go of control, letting her in. She showed him her love for her people. He showed her the way earth smelled after rain. She showed him the song her mother used to hum before sleep. He showed her the laughter of his team during cold nights in space. They shared pain, love, fear, joy, memories, emotions. Their minds wove together. Strand by strand, no longer separate together. Suddenly dash. The bond cracked. A scream echoed in the chamber. The Trinax had returned. One last shadow, hiding deep inside Alicera's mind, waited for the perfect moment. The bond was almost complete. So, the parasite struck. Elias felt a wave of fear stab through his thoughts. He saw Alicera fall, her hands clutching her head. No. He shouted. The elder stood but could not interfere. This was the final test and only Elias could face it. Inside the bond, the shadow laughed. Too late, it hissed. She is ours now. Elias stepped forward inside the mind space. I'm not afraid of you, he growled. You're just a human, it said. Exactly, Elias whispered. A human, with love. He remembered his friends, his failures, his pain, all of it. And he gave it to Alicera. A flood of warmth and feeling flowed into her mind. The shadow shrieked. The light burned it away. Alicera opened. Her eyes in the mind space. You gave me everything, she said. I had nothing left to lose, he replied, except you. They embraced. The bond sealed. A single burst of light filled the chamber. When Elias opened his eyes, he was on the floor. Alicera knelt beside him, glowing brighter than ever before. The mist outside cleared. The stars above pulsed with joy. He reached up, and she took his hand. Is it done? He asked. Yes, she said, her voice trembling. We are one now. The elders bowed silently. The link had returned. The virulent song had begun again. The palace of Cerelia was no longer silent. For the first time in many years, the song of the Virulon mines echoed softly through the air. It wasn't music in the human sense, but Elias could feel it. A deep hum in the back of his thoughts. A warm current. Flowing through his body like light wind through trees, he stood beside Queen Alicera on the highest tower, looking down at the city floating beneath them. The mists were thinner now. The towers glowed brighter. The people had come out of their slumber. They moved slowly, carefully, as if waking from a long dream. They're healing, Elias said softly. Alicera nodded, because the bond is complete. They feel me again, and through me. They feel you. Elias looked at her, unsure. But I'm just a human. I'm not like them. You are not like them, she said. That is why they feel again. That afternoon, Elias walked alone through the market streets of the palace for the first time. He had always thought the Virellans were cold, distant beings. But now, as they looked at him, their eyes glowed with quiet emotion. Some nodded. Some touched their hearts in greeting. Others simply watched him with wonder. One small virulent child approached him shyly, her fingers glowing as she reached up to touch his hand. She can feel your thoughts, said an elder nearby, just a little. The bond between you and the queen opened a doorway. Leah smiled down at the child. Hello. The girl blinked, then laughed softly, sound like wind chimes. She wasn't afraid. None of them were anymore. That evening, Elias returned to the whisper chamber. Alicera was waiting. Today you were one of us, she said. But tomorrow they will ask for more. What do you mean? He asked. She turned, her face calm but serious. Our people know joy again, but they are still lost. They need purpose, a future. For that, we must lead them together. I'm not a ruler, Elias said. I don't even know how to lead humans properly. You lead by being honest, she said. You led me when I was broken. That is enough. Elias shook his head slowly. They'll expect decisions, commands, culture, structure. I don't even know how your government works. Then you'll learn, she said, stepping closer. Not by force, but by walking beside me, step by step. Over the next days, Elias was shown the council hall stall, spiral towers where ideas were shared by thoughts, not words. He sat with elders, with scholars, with warriors and farmers and artists. Some doubted him. Some resisted the idea of a human, being part of their queen's soul. But most listened, because Alicera stood beside him. She spoke through the bond. This man showed me love, she told them. He reminded me of joy. He faced the darkness that we could not with power, but with emotion. That is the strength we forgot. That is the strength we need. And the halls grew quiet. And then they accepted him. One evening, Elias sat with Alicera near a pool of still water, where stars reflected perfectly on the surface. He had removed his boots and dipped his feet into the glowing liquid. It was warm, alive, and peaceful. I've never felt like this before, he said. Like what? She asked, sitting beside him. Like I belong. She looked at him softly. You have always belonged. You were simply never seen. Elias thought about his past. Earth was full of people, full of noise. But he had always felt alone in a crowd. Here, on a silent alien moon, in a city floating in the sky, he finally felt understood. It didn't make sense, but it was real. Alasira placed her hand on his chest. Your heart beats with mine now, she said. What you feel, I feel. And what if I feel doubt? He asked. Then I'll carry it, she replied. Until you don't. Elias smiled gently. You really believe in us? I do. He looked at the stars. And what about Earth? He asked. What happens when they ask where I've gone? When they want answers? They will come, she said, curious. Maybe afraid, but we will not hide. You think they'll accept you? Some will, some won't, she said. But peace begins with one hand extended. He looked at his hand in hers. Then maybe it starts here. The next morning, a Virilan ship landed near the palace. But it didn't belong to their people. It was dark gray, made of living metal, shaped like a blade. The air around it felt cold. Alasira tensed. Trinox. Elias stood beside her as the ship opened. A figure stepped out. Tall, skin like smoke. No face, only shifting patterns of thought visible in its body. The being's voice echoed directly into their minds. You have sealed the bond, it said. You have brought warmth to this cold world. You say that like it's a bad thing, Elias replied. The Virelans were once perfect, the being said. Silent, logical. But now, you have made them noisy, emotional, unstable. Alasira stepped forward. We are alive again. And for that, you must pay, said the Trinox. The being raised one arm. A shockwave blasted through the courtyard. Elders fell. Guards cried out. Elias stood firm, shielding Alasira. You won't take her again, he said. You cannot stop us, the being said. We are thought. We are shadow. But Elias smiled. So am I. He closed his eyes and reached into the bond suddenly. Light burst from Elias's chest. Not fire, not power, but memory. He sent everything through the bond as team's laughter. Devon's final words, the first day he flew a ship, the taste of earth food, the smell of rain, the sound of birds. He gave them everything he had ever felt, and Alasira joined him. She added her first dance. Her mother's voice, the touch of sunlight on her wings. Together, they flooded the Trinox with pure emotion. The creature screamed not in sound, but in crumbling thought. It could not survive inside love. It vanished. Silence turned. But it was a peaceful silence, the kind that follows a shared breath, the kind that comes before dawn. The Virilan people came out slowly, gathered around Elias, and no one spoke. But everyone felt, and that was enough. Later that night, Alasira walked with Elias through the garden. The flowers glowed brighter now. The vines swayed gently. The song in the air was strong again. I was wrong, Elias said. About what? She asked. I thought I was broken, that I didn't have anything left to give. And now, she asked. He smiled. No. I know I was just waiting for someone who needed what I had. She stopped, took his hands, and whispered, Human, will you stay? Elias didn't hesitate. I already have. The palace of Cerelia floated peacefully above the silver clouds. No longer dark or silent, it now pulsed with gentle life. The great crystal towers shimmered in the sunlight, and the gardens sang with soft melodies. The Virilan people walked with light steps, their eyes brighter, their minds clearer. And at the heart of it all stood Captain Elias Thorne, no longer just a human visitor, no longer just a soldier from Earth. He was something more now. He was. Part of them, Elias stood at the edge of a grand balcony, wearing simple robes of white and silver. Beside him stood Queen Alasira, her glow softer now, more human in feeling, yet still majestic. They looked out over the city as the Virilans gathered below, filling the air with a low, peaceful hum. It was the day of renewal, a celebration that had not been held for over 2 centuries. But now, with the mental bond restored and the Trinox, Threat driven away, the virulins had reason to celebrate again. Are you nervous? Lysira asked, gently taking Ilias's hand. Always, he said with a small smile. But I've stopped running from it. She smiled too. Then you're ready. As the sun passed between the twin moons of Cerelia, the ceremony began. Elias and Alisera stepped forward together. The wind carried soft petals through the air. The virulons raised their arms, sending waves of glowing light into the sky like stars being born right above the city. Alisera lifted her voice, and though she spoke no words, every virulin heard her. He came from a distant world. He brought us feeling, reminded us of love. In the darkest hour, he gave light, not as a weapon, but as a gift. Now we do not walk alone. And she looked at Elias. Do you accept the bond of heart and soul? She asked him. He nodded. I already did. And with that, a wave of warmth passed over the crowd. It was not magic. It was connection, emotion, a shared peace, a quiet understanding between two very different beings. And now, between two peoples, the virulons bowed. Elias Thorn was now their bond king, a leader, not by crown, by choice, and by heart. Later that day, as the skies turned orange and gold, Elias walked alone through the inner gardens. His thoughts wandered. It had all started as a strange mission, just a message from a mysterious race no one had ever met face to face, a request for a single human, a war veteran who thought he had nothing left. Now he was bound to a queen, linked to an entire people, and somehow, at peace, he still missed Earth, still remembered his fallen team, still dreamed of home sometimes. But here, he had found something different, something deeper, a place where he was needed, a place where he was seen. A soft voice interrupted his thoughts. You never told me about your mother. He turned. Alisera stood there, her bare feet making no sound on the stone path. Her silver hair caught the evening light. Elias chuckled. She was stubborn, loud, smart, could cook anything. Used to yell at me for skipping meals. Sounds like someone I would like, she said. She would have liked you too, he replied, though she probably would have told me I was crazy for bonding with a glowing alien queen. Lysira laughed, a sound like water flowing through. Light, do you ever wish you had chosen differently? She asked after a moment. Elias looked at her seriously. No, he said, it's not for a second. The next morning, a small Earth vessel arrived in orbit. The humans had been searching for Elias ever since he disappeared on his mission. The ship carried a diplomatic team, including scientists, soldiers, and one of Elias's old commanders. Message came through. Captain Thorn, if you are alive, please respond. Earth needs to know what has happened. Alisera turned to Elias. You must speak with them. He nodded. I will, but not as a lost soldier, as something else. The meeting was held in the floating sky chamber. Elias stood before his former commander, General Wren, a strong older woman with gray hair and sharp eyes. She stared at him as if seeing a ghost. You've changed, she said. I have. Elias replied calmly. She looked around, and this queen, this species, are they safe? They are peaceful, he said. They were dying, but now they're healing. They don't want war. They want understanding. And you? She asked. What do you want, Elias? He thought about it, then said, to stay. Wren narrowed her eyes. You're serious? He nodded. This is where I belong now. Earth has plenty of soldiers, but the virulons, they needed someone who felt the way I do, and I needed someone who saw me the way they do. Wren was silent for a moment, then she said, You always did like impossible missions. Elias smiled, and I always came back changed. The humans stayed for a few days. They studied the floating towers, spoke with the virulent thinkers, recorded the music of the flowers, sent messages back to Earth, and when they left, they did. Not go in anger, they left in wonder. Elias stood on the tower as the human. Ship vanished into the stars. Alisera joined him. Do you think they'll return? She asked. I think they'll be curious, Elias said. Some will fear us. Some will reach out. But the door is open now. And you? She asked. I'm already home, he said. Weeks passed. Elias began helping the Virulons build new schools, places where the young could learn not just thoughts, but emotions, where they could speak, draw, laugh. He told stories from Earth, showed them human games, cooked Earth-style meals using glowing fruits. One night, a young Virelon boy sat beside him and asked, Is it true you fought a shadow inside the queen's mind? Elias nodded. It was dark, cold, but I wasn't alone. Were you scared? The boy asked. Very, Elias said. But bravery isn't about not being scared. It's about standing anyway. The boy smiled. You're a good king. I'm just a man, Elias said, but I try. That night he sat with Alicera on the balcony again. Stars stretched across the sky. No shadows. No danger, just peace. She leaned her head on his shoulder. Do you ever miss the battlefield? She asked. No, he said. Because here I finally won. Far above, the stars glowed brighter as if they, too, knew the story of a broken soldier and a lonely queen who found each other in the silence and taught two worlds how to feel again.